Welcome everyone to this. This is the second session of our training for our partners, customers. So for this session, I will be discussing about WizBlock. And mainly, we were not going to be on specifically in each modules. It's more of a general discussion of what is WizBlock, how we design things, IoT devices using WizBlocks, what are the considerations, what are the things that we have to look at when we are considering using WizBlock on IoT devices. So let me introduce myself, like a short introduction. So I'm Carl Rowan. I'm part of the Rock Wireless team. I handle different tasks within the company. I do technical marketing, technical support, technical documentation, mainly technical things overlapping with other functions. In terms of profession, I'm an electronics engineer. I have a background in hardware design, firmware development. But currently, I'm not doing those product development now. I'm more focused on ensuring that we deliver the good product for our customer. So yeah, let's proceed and start the WizBlock session. So let's have a quick introduction about WizBlock. So WizBlock is a modular hardware platform that we created. So Rack has this idea that we should be able to create devices quickly if there are customers who needs a certain type of IoT device. We should be able to plug things together and have the end device that needed for the specific IoT use case. So that's why we conceptualize this modular hardware platform so that we can do this objective. So there are already many modular platforms out there, especially the popular and the common ones like the Arduino, like there are different types of boards like the Adafruit Feather boards. So what differentiates WizBlock with this other hardware modular platform? So first would be WizBlock is built with wireless communication protocol. So what that means is that when you select a WizBlock or any type of WizBlock, it's basically has already a built-in wireless communication. So
Hi, Carl.
you see
I don't
here
know.
the
Excuse me. I don't know if it's just on my end, but I think the audio has been cracking.
let me let me recap a while, so a few seconds, yeah, for minutes. All right,
Okay.
so let me have a quick introduction again with WizBlock. So WizBlock is a modular IoT hardware platform that we created. Rock Wireless created the WizBlock so that we can quickly create different kinds of IoT end devices just by plugging modules together. So the idea is that there are different types of applications for IoT and use cases differs with each case. So there should be a way for us to create a hardware quickly. And through modular platform like WizBlock, we can achieve this objective. So there are many modular hardware already in the market. Like we have the Arduino, we have the Adafruit Feather boards. So these are in different form factors. So what differs WizBlock against this already known modular hardware? So first off is that here on my second point here, the WizBlock has a built-in wireless communication protocol. Basically, when you use WizBlock, it always has an IoT connectivity on it. You can have LoRa, you can have LoRa 1, you can have Wi-Fi, or you can have Bluetooth. Primarily, it's LoRa and LoRa 1 because that's our core business. But you can also have core or a WizBlock combination that is based on Wi-Fi and also BLE. So WizBlock, that's WizBlock. It has a built-in wireless protocol. So once you see a WizBlock in a customer or in a user setup, likely it connects somehow wirelessly to the cloud or to an app, something like that. So WizBlock is mainly composed of four parts. So we have the core, we have the baseboard, we have the modules, and then we have the enclosure. So the core is like the CPU, the base is like the motherboard, and then the modules are the peripherals that we put together. And then of course, to make it a complete package, you need to have a enclosure. So another thing that separates us from other modular hardware platform, aside that we have a built-in wireless and we have a compatible enclosure, the WizBlock modules are interconnected via board-to-board connectors. So these board-to-board connectors, I will expound on this later on the next slides. But the idea here is this board-to-board connectors are more reliable compared to the header pins that we saw in other modular platform, like in Raspberry Pi. It uses a header pins as well as on Featherboards. And these header pins, when you use jumpers on it, sometimes you lose connection, sometimes it looks messy if there's lots of wires dangling around. But if you have a small board-to-board connector within the modules, it will become smaller. And at the same time, with the screws, it will be immune to vibration. Like the header pins, there are situations that if it's not mounted correctly, mechanically sturdy, it can lose connection to those header pins. And also, WizBlock contains or supports different kinds of sensors and interfaces. So just an example, I put here temperature, accelerometer, RS485 can, but there's a lot more. So as I said, there are lots of modules for WizBlock. So right now we have 120 plus modules, if I'm not mistaken. So these are the core, sensors, motor, storage, wireless, enclosure, some extra auxiliary modules like the connectors, display interfaces, power. So with these categories, once we put them together, we can have a very useful IoT device. So you can check our store, or we can also give you the catalog of the all WizBlock modules so you can quickly have a look on it. So yeah, so these are all the modules that we support, and these are the categories. So how shall we use WizBlock, or how to use WizBlock? So I created some steps on how we can start on building WizBlock. This is based on what are the parts and components of WizBlock. So the step one would be choosing the WizBlock core. So for the WizBlock core, this is the brain of the WizBlock. So it supports Arduino IDE. So we can create some codes here. So we can have Arduino IDE. We also support different IDEs that is native to the MCU. Let's say, for example, you use the STM32. The SM32 would be this, the RAC 3172. So this will be able to support STM-Cube IDE, or if you're using Kale or other IDE or toolchain, that should also be possible. But natively, we promoted WizBlock for Arduino, so that because Arduino is widely adopted by the community, it has a big user base, so we decided to proceed with Arduino. So what are the considerations that do when selecting core? Of course, as I said, WizBlock has a built-in wireless protocol on it. So we have to select what kind of protocol do you need. Do you need Wi-Fi only? Do you need Bluetooth? Maybe you're just creating a device that needs to connect to the phone, or something like a BLE beacon, something like that. That's also possible with WizBlock. So it depends on what you need. Or maybe you're creating a LoRaWAN end device. So after determining the wireless protocol, you can now select what type of core that you need. Let's say for the NRF base, this supports Wi-Fi. This supports LoRa and BLE. STM32, it only supports LoRa. ESP32 supports Wi-Fi and BLE. RP2040, only LoRa. We have this baseboard. The core, we have a core based on Raspberry Pi Pico. And then the Apollo 3 has LoRa and BLE. So this is for the base. Yeah, so the next step would be selecting the WizBlock base. So for the WizBlock base, this is the one that is responsible for holding the different modules. So this has tiny board-to-board connectors in it. So you can select what baseboard is compatible based on the number of modules that you need. So we will expound that later on. But at the same time, you have the option to select the power slot based on the power supply requirements. So considerations would be, what are the modules that you need? What are the sensors? What are interfaces? How do you plan to power your IoT devices? Do you need PoE? Do you need 24 volts input? Maybe 12 volts if you're attaching it on your car? Do you need battery only? Do you need solar? Or do you need the USB interface? Something like that. Yeah, so for the base, once you already selected end use case, you can select what type of base you need. Next would be selecting the type of sensor. For the sensors, we have many sensors in the WizBlock family. You need first consideration would be to determine what are the parameters needed to be measured. Let's say the end use case of the customer would be tracking an asset. If it goes from one place to another, maybe we need to put a GPS module there, or maybe an accelerometer so that we can check if it move or there's a motion on the asset. Or maybe they need mold detection. So for molds, maybe that would need a temperature and humidity sensor, because the molds grow on a certain humidity level. So that would be the sensor that we need. And then the next step would be determining if the parameters that needs to be checked is supported by the sensor. Let's say we're going to measure cold storage facility, so the temperature can go down to -0 degrees. So the sensor should be able to support that. And the parameters in the data sheets, the parameters of the sensors can be looked on the data sheet. Of course, another consideration is that the conflicts of these modules, because not all modules can be combined together. Certain modules might have pin conflicts. I will discuss this in a while. So these are the consideration when it comes to the sensors. Next would be selecting the WISBlock interface. So for the interface, these are bigger modules. So maybe you have a sensor that needs RS485 communication, 420 milliampere interface, or maybe you need a different wireless protocol, maybe NB-IoT. This is not natively built in on the core. So we need to add this wireless protocols like UWB, joysticks, relays. So other these peripherals, we can add this on the WISBlock IO interface. So as a consideration, again, we can determine the right type of interface by determining what's the application, and then if there are conflicts on the modules. So step 5, so this will be the last step. Once you combined all the 4 parts, the core, the base, the sensors, and the IO, we need to select the correct core-compatible unifying closure. So when it comes to unifying closure, we have 3 sizes. We have the small, the medium, and the large. We also have different mounting options. I will show some of this later on. And then we have the base plate as well with built-in antenna. So this one, if you will see this, so these are base plates where the WISBlock modules can be attached, and there's already a built-in antenna here. So you can check there you do not need to add external antenna just to support the wireless communication of the module. So this would be the step 5. So that would be the 5 steps for WISBlock. So generally, that's when we decide on how we combine things. Those are the considerations. So now we can proceed on the WIS connector. So the WIS connector in WISBlock, you can see 2 WISBlock connectors. So there's a 24 pin and there's a 40 pin. The 24 pin, we call it sensor slot. So it's smaller. It supports primarily different types of sensors, because some sensors are small, like temperature, humidity, accelerometer. These are tiny sensors that can fit on a sensor slot. Then you also have a IO slot. So this is 40 pin board-to-board connector. So this is bigger. Yeah. So this is primarily how we interface the WISBlock modules together. So this is an illustration where the modules are put together. So this one on the left, we have 4 sensor slots, and then on the right we have 2 IO slot. This baseboard that is in this image is the large baseboard, so it can accommodate up to, at the back of this, actually there's another 2 sensor slot. So basically 6 sensor slot and 2 IO slot. Yeah, this is the biggest WISBlock base. But we also have the mini and we also have the standard, which will cater smaller number of modules. So this is the summary of the different types of baseboards. So we actually have 3 sizes, just like the Unify enclosure. We have the mini, we have the dual IO, so this is the big one, and then we have the generic or the gen. So all of the baseboards has 1 CPU slots. The number of WISBlock sensors differs depending on the type of base. So the generic base, it has 4. The big base, it has 6 sensor slot, and the mini has 2 sensor slot. For the IO slot, the generic one has 1 IO slot, and the big one has 2 IO slot. It doesn't have IO slot because the mini version doesn't have an IO slot because it doesn't have enough space for the IO slot. So this is how they look like. So on the left side, this is the mini. So this is a small whiz block base. The middle is the generic one. So this is our standard size. And then on the right would be the big whiz block base. This all of this whiz block base, all of this whiz block base board has a core slot, of course, for the core, and then it only differs on the number of modules that we can connect to them. One good thing about the big baseboard is that you use a header on it, like many headers. So it means that you can have direct access on all the pins of the CPU on the CPU core. So let's say you want to access different pins on the WISBlock core, you can have direct connection to it using these headers. So one of the challenge that we face with WISBlock when we start to work on it is the conflict of pins in the modules. So if you will look at this illustration, this is the pinout distribution of the board-to-board connector. So this is a sensor slot with 24 pins. As you can see, there's the numbers, the pins are named, like there's a ground on pin 2. There are no connection on pin 1, pin 3, pin 5, pin 4, pin 6, no connection. And then there would be I2C, I squared C connection on pin 7 and 8. And then on the lower part, you can see that it's like inverted or it's like mirrored image. The idea there is that the WISBlock modules can actually be placed, the sensor modules can be actually placed in a mirror way. Like you can flip it and still it will still work. You do not need to follow the correct. So in case you attach it in a flip way, it will still work. However, this configuration presents challenges because let's say for the pin 12, let's say this is for sensor slot A, so the first sensor slot, this IO1 is already occupied. However, on your IO slot, there could be an IO1 that is also being utilized. So basically, both two modules will occupy the IO1 slot, which can potentially create conflict. Potentially because it's not always the case, because sometimes even though they uses the same pins, they do not have conflicts. Like for the I squared C, even if we combine all together the SDA and the SCL pins, there will be no conflict because they are I2C bus. There are also IO pins that even if we combine together, they will create any conflicts. That's why we created the pin mapper. So we have this kind of in our documentation center, we have this pin mapper. So you can select the type of base that you use, the type of core, the IO modules, as well as the sensors. So once you combine them, you will see the potential conflicts between the modules. So for this one, we combine the 9-axis motion sensor and then the earthquake sensor, and then both of them uses IO1 and IO2. No, it uses IO1 for the 9-axis accelerometer, uses IO1. However, on the earthquake sensor, it also uses IO1. So they're both occupying the space for IO1. So because of this can potentially have conflict. However, it depends on the code because both of the interrupts are input. So we need this. Sometimes you need to check if it can work okay, because as an input, it has high impedance. So it's not really like a hard coded that it has conflict, it will not work. Sometimes it can still work, but needs to be evaluated. So we need to be aware on the potential conflicts that it can have. So that's the pin mapper for WISBlock. And yeah, so after we combine these modules, we can now select the unifying closure that will house the WISBlock modules. So these are the three sizes, and as I said earlier, we have base plate. So the black one with BLE and LoRa label that has a built-in antenna. We also have a different types of leads. So these leads have solar panel on top of it for remote deployments. So you can put it outside. It will charge the battery with the solar power. One feature as well of the unified enclosure is the flexibility of the mounting. So these are some of the mounting options that we can use. So we can use a pole mount, we have a wall mount, there's also a belt clip. So for maybe for staff that needs to have a whisk block on their side. We also have a DIN rail, maybe on some control panel that has DIN rail. Then we also have hook. We also have magnet. There are different types, but these are just the 5 that I was able to put in here. So in the whisk block, we also have whisk block solutions and kits. So as I mentioned in the beginning of the training, we conceptualize whisk block so that we can create different applications quickly. So we use WizBlock as well on our own devices, as well as on the kits that we sell that is focused on different verticals. So for this one, this is a GPS tracker. This is an earthquake sensor. The field tester, the field mapper, it's not here, but it's also based on WizBlock. The WishMesh packet. We have various sensors that is based on WISP. The WISNode temperature humidity sensor before it is not based on WISBlock, but now it is using WISBlock. We also have kits like for this one. This is focused on smart agriculture, and then for this one this is for WISBlock connected box. So these are collection and application that is focused on a search case. Okay, so the WizBlock. If I proceed on this slide, so this is we have the IoT developer kit. So the IoT developer kit are focused on different applications. So for this one, it is focused on industrial and communication use cases. So this has relays, this has different interfaces, Ethernet, RS485, Canvas. So this is the collection of that. So we have here. This is not so much the biometric. There few sensors are there. You also have a home and office kit. So there's a fingerprint, a barcode scanner, AR sensor, ultrasonic, radar sensor. Then we have environmental kit. Quality, it has CO2, temperature, humidity, pressure, and these are kits that is based on certain types of use cases. So on this slide, we will have a quick show a partner company, a customer that we have called, they are from Korea, First Snow. So what they do is they track elderly wheelchairs that is usually used by the elderly and the PWDs. So this is deployed in malls, in different hospitals. So what they did, they combined modules together, put it in a unifying closure, they attach it at the bottom of the wheelchair. This way, they will be able to track the status of the wheelchair if it falls down, because there's some instances, or I'm not sure how frequent it is, but there are instances that these electric wheelchairs fell on the ground, maybe because of some imbalance on its operation or some accidents. So this is one of our success stories for WizBlock. So they did a few units of this to prototype the use case. So another customer that we have is Luwal Tech. So they are working on agricultural applications. So for these solutions, they actually use the SDI-12 interface. Many of the agricultural sensor are using this communication protocol, SDI-12. So they combine WizBlock together with the SDI-12 module so they can start to integrate various sensors to it. Also, we have a collaboration. There's a typographical error here. This is the success stories that we have for the Blues. We work with them to create a cellular module. So we have a complete documentation of it, various applications. So if you're interested in combining cellular with LoRa 1, this is a good board. We have many more use cases, but these are just a few that I was able to include here in our slide.